Yo, YouTubers, just a quick, I just want, before I do my speech, this is a speech video by the way, I just thought you'd be curious to hear what my guitar sounds like through a Zoom pedal before I get on with the speech. So the speakers are way behind the camera, so it's not going to be direct sound, but listen. This is with the stock pickup on the Hofner Shorty. A little bit of delay. Alright, I just thought people might have been curious to, you know, to hear what it sounded like through a Zoom distortion. Only, you know, I use the same setting usually, like with either echo on or echo off. Well, okay, that's out the way. Right, it's unplugged. Hofner Shorty stock pickup, highly recommended. That's the. I'm not being sponsored, by the way, folks. Well, I just thought, you know, people might have been curious out there. We'll get that over with. Now I can bring the camera a little bit closer, and I don't know. It's nice and cozy and intimate. I've had to resort back to use my camera, folks. Oh, another tip. One of my greatest tips on earth. Check these plectrums out. Daddies, they're called. Daddies. You can buy them on eBay. You can buy them in bulk. And you know what's crazy? I've been using this for ages and ages. They don't wear down. They last forever. Get used to using a hard plectrum. But that company, Daddy. Tip from the top. Get them on eBay, you buy them in bulk, like £5 for 5 of them, or something like that, and they last forever, and they're brilliant. Right? Okay, right. Guitar tip over with. Hofner Shorty pickup sounds great through Zoom. I mean, it actually sounds awesome, guys. I'll be uploading a couple of songs soon, you know, later maybe. I'll be doing a recording later with me busking amp and just a couple of test recordings to show you what it sounds like. So anyway, that's out the way. Alright. Yo YouTubers. This is actually a speech. I just thought I'd get two things on one video rather than, you know. But this is speech, folks. I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story. I know most of my viewers. Guess what, guys? I had 119 subbers a while back, right? It's gone down to 112. And then it's gone back up to 114. So either someone's tampering with the figures and the numbers on my YouTube channel and the views or whatever, or someone's gone through my videos. 7 people have subbed to my channel, and one way or another I've disappointed them, and they've left. And I know a couple of me, you know, the familiar faces have showed up and said hello and that, like from America, Canada. Some of my friends locally, my family, etc. People have given me a thumbs up and mentioned, you know, they've got back to me. My notification thing has started working again, as normal. So I'm getting my notifications in the top corner. People tell, you know, when people make a comment and stuff. So that's working all right now. But it's all adding up to somebody tampering with my channel. You know, that's why I don't do as much as I'd like to, guys. It's what's the point in me doing things, putting things out, and I know that loads of people aren't going to see it because maybe on their computers or their phones or whatever it doesn't show up or whatever, you know what I mean? So that's why I don't make great efforts. I should be putting videos up every single day. I'd be putting speeches up every single day. But I just, if you feel like you're being monitored or unfairly treated and the messages aren't going to get out, it just doesn't seem much point, you know. So I keep it like a light-hearted entertainment channel with a bit of truthing. I wouldn't call myself a truther, but I reveal things. I think I reveal things to people that maybe, you know, they might not be aware of. I don't go like the usual. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, isn't there? There's a lot of channels you can check things out, and it's all out there, isn't it? You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff. I call it the university of YouTube, folks. Before I go any further, I've got any jam in my eyes, because sometimes I watch videos of myself and I go, oh man, I've still got like sleep in my eyes and stuff, and I didn't even think I have a bogey on my nose and that, like, you know, you don't think of these things, do you, when you've got no ego? But anyway, thanks to everyone out there who got back to me. A couple of old familiar faces from America and Canada kind of making comments and stuff, which I'm really chuffed to see they're still out there. The God-fearing people, you know, a lot of my viewers are God-fearing, you know, guys, you know what I mean? Get with God. And I don't know, I'm not a preacher, I'm not religious, but I believe in God totally. That's just another note. I refuse to go along with occultism and stuff like that, you know. I'll challenge all that, like, in a friendly way, you know. I'm not anti-pagan neither. I think some pagans are just innocent folks who have not yet been alerted to the Holy Spirit. That's what a pagan is to me. A pagan is not a person that goes around like beating Christians up and stuff like that. A pagan is someone that just goes with the flow and only knows what they know. And they might be good and they might be evil. They could be good or evil, like. But a pagan is a pagan in my book, like. It doesn't really make a difference to me, like. Right, got that out of the way. Alright, I want to tell you a story now, folks. The title of this video, I've got proof. I've got evidence that the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry. Right, folks, it's called the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry. Think about this one before I go any further. If you're a cosmonaut, if you're an astronaut, if you're I think they're called biconauts, you know, the Chinese astronauts, and there's Indian astronauts, and there's, you know, they go up to the space shuttle or they go up to the space stations, right? If you've got anything to do with space travel whatsoever, right, you will be officially recognised as a member of the ASE, right? The ASE, which is all-seeing eye, isn't it, right, folks? ASE, all-seeing eye. But in their metaphor, it's called the Association of Space Explorers. Now, you look it up with whatever. It doesn't matter whether you're American, Russian, Chinese, Indian, South African, whatever you are, if you've got connections to being in space in one form or another, you are officially Helen Sharman, you know, the English girl that was on the space station for Russia, you know, she was English but she was Russian, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's not what this is about. But the ASE, right, is the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry, really. And I'm sure most people, if you go to space, if you've been acknowledged and you get the opportunity to go into space, whether it's for America or Russia, I'm sure you will have had to have been initiated into one form or another of Freemasonry. It's just the way they do things, right? Now, before I go any further with this speech, right? Now, think about the all-seeing eye. They've got satellites all around the Earth. They've got cameras aimed at Earth all over the planet from all countries. You know what I mean? It's not just one fixed pinnacle, is it? You know, because Satan's pinnacle to me is space. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, in the Bible it says he looking down there. Satan showed Jesus all the kingdoms of the earth. It's not a mountain. You can't see the kingdoms of the earth from a mountain, can you? You've got to be in a pinnacle that's actually in orbit to see that perspective. And God and the devil are both used to battling it out in space, in the vacuum of space. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? The pinnacle is not a mountain. It's like being in orbit or being in a craft. And what are we starting to say? Everyone's starting to realise that there's been space travels all along, the Anunnaki, the Vedas, you know, all the tribes, all indigenous tribes all around the world were visited by what they thought were gods, right? And I say that little g, G-O-D-S, gods in inverted commas, like little g, not capital G. And they were given the knowledge of how to plant crops, how to manufacture jewellery and diamonds and gold, how to make drugs, how to turn green leaves on a mountain called cocaine into this white block that makes everyone violent and want to kill each other. All those little secrets came from the Vedas, right, guys? And who's the baddie in Star Wars? Who is the big bad guy in Star Wars? Where do you think they got the name Vader from? Do you think that was just like, oh, off the top of George Lucas's mind or something like? No, of course, they were telling us that they know this big black Vader called Darth. I've got the Force, no one else can have that. Like, hey, you're not having my quality of drugs. I'm keeping that stuff to myself. You know, Vedic tradition, it goes to India. The Indians, you know, the Asian Indians, they'll say, like, in the past, in the history, Vedas used to visit them and give them all the knowledge. The Tibetan monks in Nepal, they got a statue, a gold statue of a guy sitting there like that, you know, with blue eyes. The guy's got blue eyes, the statue's got blue eyes. Where do you think that comes from? You know, they're Vedas. They're Vedas. Now, when it gets a bit bad and they turn nasty, they're invaders, aren't they? They're starting to like harass you or, you know, rape your women, or they saw the daughters of man were fair and wanted to copulate with everything that moves, you know. If it's got a hole, every hole's a goal, is their horrible quote that. I can't stand that saying, like, but that's how the Vedas or the Anunnaki or whatever you want to call them, fallen angels, resorted to. But this all leads to Freemasonry, right, guys? The Vedas hand the knowledge to people, and that's why you have to be initiated to earn certain levels of knowledge in Freemasonry, right? Which takes me to their all-seeing eye, right? Now, don't get me wrong, it sees a lot, it can see a lot, but not everything. Only God can see everything, right? I've got proof, I've got a story to tell you, right, guys, about my personal life where I can tell you, this isn't a speech against, I'm not going to hack into Freemasons or have a go with them. There are good Freemasons out there, guys, who don't even know nothing about the evil stuff. You know, whatever the Vedas have fed to them only goes so far. So they think they're just innocent. Like, for example, if you want to be a fireman, you've got to go, most firemen or policemen or ambulance drivers or people in the medical profession, they go through Freemasonry. They've got to be Freemasons. All the astronauts that went to space must have been Freemasons. All the astronauts that walked on the moon must have been Freemasons, right? It's not their fault. They might have been Freemasons all their lives and found out it was a bit shady later on, or they might not have found out it was a bit shady and they're just going to carry on being biased and sticking up for their own. That's the way it is. If you don't bite the hand that feeds you, do you? So Freemasons have paid all these people to do things, and it's made them a living, and they've been famous, and they've sold books and all the other things that go with it. They're not going to start kicking off on their own feeder, are they? You know what I mean? Bite the hand that feeds it, like. So that's why we can't expect them to suddenly sell out and say, oh, well, Bruce said this, so I'm going to, like, I'm going to leave the lodge now because Bruce said this, you know, as if, like. But if my house was on fire, I'd phone the fire station, I'd dial 999 and say, can you send the fire engine? Even though I know a lot of them are going to be Freemasons, or most of them, if not all of them. You know, the Vedas have infiltrated every aspect of life, the fallen angels included. They've infiltrated all the aspects of life, right? And then it becomes Freemasonry if you're on their side of the fence, not just an ordinary civilian, an ordinary person. you want to find out the secrets, they let you in, and if you're curious enough, but you have to do things by their rules, and then your arse is theirs. Basically, that's the way it works. And there's female Freemasons. I uploaded a video on my channel about female Freemasonry in case anyone's interested, but I didn't know that it had been posted on YouTube. By, you know, the BBC had actually uploaded that clip, so you can find it without the horrible. I done it from my television screen using this camera, basically, because I can't transfer things straight from the television onto the computer, you see. So you can actually find the video. Just type in female Freemasons BBC, and you'll see it like properly done without the hissy noises and stuff like on my video, because I've done it through a camera, right? So point in question, there's female Freemasons as well, right, folks, and they're as shady as the men. If you watch that clip on the from the BBC, you'll see they do the exact same ceremonies, they wear the same pennies, they do the same stuff. It's the female side of Vedas, you know, Vedic tradition. We know more than you. You come to us, we tell you everything. If you and then once we give you that knowledge, if you step out of line, we can kill you. That's basically what Freemasonry does. They make you swear vows that if you go to the public and you leak a secret, they cut your heart out and all kinds of crazy stuff. They actually do it as well, you know, folks. You might not see the body or the person dead with the throat slashed and the heart missing and that way. But they actually do what they say in their vows if you go against them, like, if you're one of them, like. Now, which brings me to Freemasons who I knew in my real life, right? This is the story. This is where it gets boring, right, folks? Unless you're interested in what I've got to say. And my message is that the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry is not all-seeing. You shouldn't use the term all-seeing if you can't see everything, right? Let me just have a swig of tea. Just squeeze out me tea bag. It's going to be a long one, this, folks. It's going to be one of those drawn-out, boring, Brucey speeches, like, but, you know, and hopefully I can upload it properly with no hiccups, I don't know, with the nature. But any Freemasons watching this, me nature in this speech, guys, is not to try and pull the foundations from underneath your feet and turn you over and that, like, far be it from me to do that. I'd rather let God do all that if he chooses the opportunity, because God's in everything in one form or another. Like Freemason Bibles and all the rest, mate, they haven't got a clue. They don't know what they're talking about, right? But I hate doing these speeches when I'm using the camera, because I've got to talk dead loud and anyone could be listening to me, you know. If my room was bugged, paranoid psychosis kicks in. I suffer from paranoid psychosis, right, guys, so I am a bit paranoid about stuff. But the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry, my proof, right, my personal testimony to the fact that they don't know nothing, unless it suits them, right? They can watch attractive women in a shower, bollock naked. They can, if there's some sickos in Freemasonry, you know, like, I don't want to join the YouTube onslaught with pedos, you know what I mean? But if there's a pedo in Freemasonry, is the all-seeing eye could be watching a primary school. If there's a football fan in Freemasonry, or, you know, like a lodge, or they're all football maniacs, you know, like when England were in the World Cup, the whole world stood still because Harry Kane scored a goal and all that nonsense, right? How many Freemasons do you reckon would have been watching that match? Not on the television cameras, using their all-seeing eye, because it's what interests them. Do you understand? That's my electricity beeping there, by the way, if you can hear it. I think about it, oh no, it won't go straight away, you know, but... So, do you understand where I'm coming from? If it interests the Freemason or a particular lodge or the fraternity in general, they can use the all-seeing eye to watch it. Like, sure enough, yeah, they've got this invisible camera. It's like a spaceship, really. It's a consciousness camera that's used to anything they're enthusiastic about. The Tour de France, they could have been following the bicycles in France, watching the bicycles riding around. They're heavily into sport. You know what I mean? They're into all those things. The Olympics, the all-seeing eye would have been at the Olympics, right? We have a television camera also on the normal, ordinary earth, ordinary people, civilians outside of Freemasonry. We'll have like television cameras transmitting things to us and satellites and all the other things, right? But the Freemasons, like for example, when they walked on the moon, right? And if you weren't going to argue with me about that, you know, I don't really care what you think, but Freemasons would have been watching everything going on from afar off, you know what I mean? Because they have to put members of the fraternity in the place, the war zone, the mission zone, wherever the prerogative or the job is. They have to put someone there in the flesh with a pair of human eyeballs and a heart and lungs and a brain. You know, they need the transmitter. They need the transmitter to be wherever they want to see whatever's going on, wherever, you know, inside the pyramid, underneath the ice caps in the North Pole, whatever it is. They send explorers, don't they, to be the man on behalf of the temple of the fraternity. Then their all-seeing eye can join them, you see. They have to have a human consciousness. Hold on, before I go any further, I'll just put my key in my electric meter before it goes off. Sorry, folks. Right, sorry about the disturbance. I had to do that, and just in case my lecky went and my camera goes off or whatever, you know, little things like that. So, yeah, are you with me so far? That the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry, they don't need a camera. It's a consciousness. They use like, it's like magic. It's like using magic. It's like the magi of it, you know, and all that kind of things, and arch wizardry. They can. If there's not going to be a camera presence, as long as they've got a member of the fraternity wherever they want to see something, they can see it on their, like, I don't know how they are actually, if they have screens where things are projected onto, or they just close their eyes and see it in the mind's eye, you know, like the pineal or whatever. But they need Freemasonry in there in the first place. That's why in war we always have a spy, or, you know, people who go to places behind enemy lines and spy and that. Like, that's why they can't do it from a distance completely. They have to have someone who puts the stake in the ground or plants the camera or whatever. In my opinion, they don't need cameras as long as there's someone there. So I assume that, like, when Buzz and Neil were on the moon, probably every Freemasonic lodge on planet Earth was meditating and seeing everything through the eyes of the astronauts. They probably had really bad headaches. I don't know. But it's not their fault. You can't blame the guys themselves. There's no point in going through that one, like, you know what I mean, having a go at these people. If they're members of the fraternity, that's all there is to it. If they leave it years later, it's up to them, innit? The best testimonies come from ex-Freemasons, don't they, guys, you know? The best testimonies are from people who once were Masons or Freemasons. Real Masons are in the Bible. They're not called Freemasons. They're called Masons, you know. They build temples for God. But anyway, here's me proof that the all-seeing eye is not all-seeing. I hope I'm not boring you guys. I hope that I've tried. You know, I've been skipping my speeches for a while because, like, you know, I thought get into the music and things or whatever and just be entertainable. I've noticed people don't watch as much as when I do the speeches, so I thought, okay, I think people want me to get back into speaking in depth and doing my Jackanory bit, like. But here's me proof, right? I try and go through this without naming names and, you know, identifying people so people know who I'm talking about and all that. You know, like at the end of a film they say all the characters in this movie are fictitious and all that. Like, I've got to make that, you know, I don't want to bring anyone's names up or be personal. This is just matter of fact principle that I've got the evidence to back myself up, that I know that the all-seeing eye is not all-seeing, right? The all-seeing eye of God, yeah, you know, God says he can count the hairs on our head and all that stuff. Man, that's real, that's true. God can see us do whatever we want, in secret or in privacy, anything. God can see anything. God can read the pages of a book while it's closed. You know, if we write a diary, you know, if we keep a diary, God can read every single word we write, even in our own handwriting, even if it's like messy handwriting or whatever, like, even if it's in a foreign language. Well, God's all-seeing. There's no denying that. God is all-seeing, right? But Freemasons like to think that they're like an impersonation of God, you know. That's the problem with them. They're impersonation, like, really. But get to the point, right? I was in a relationship. I've had a couple of long-term relationships, right? Now, picture the scene, right? I finished with one chick who we used to live with, right? And she's a bit of a pain in the ass. She's still hounding me about the past and all that kind of stuff. And you know when you get a new girlfriend, and the last thing they want is being harassed by the old girlfriend. They don't even want you mentioning the name. You know what it's like. You know, especially if you, I mean, whatever you do, don't mention your ex's name while you're having sex with your current girlfriend. Whatever you do, you might as well jump out the window, mightn't you? If you're having, you know, you say you're with a woman called Mary and your ex-girlfriend was called Janet, and you're having sex, you go, "Oh, Janet," and Mary goes, "What do you mean by that?" You know what I mean? It's like, you know the way it is. You can't mention anything from the past. You've got to tread on eggshells, because obviously you couldn't get... We don't mind that, do we? You know, lads, we don't mind it. You know, when we're talking to our girlfriends and they mention their ex-boyfriends, we don't get the same thing, do we? We don't get this, why are you saying his name? I don't mean in sex, I don't mean while we're having sex. But we don't have that principle of that cattiness, that thing about ex-lovers or ex-partners, do we? You know, like women do. It's one of the reasons I'm a bachelor, guys. I've been through it all, mate, where I've seen every side of the coin, and it just felt like an imprisonment to me. I was just dressing to impress. I was like Richard in Hyacinth Bouquet, you know, in the series Keeping Up Appearances. Any Americans out there, right, if you're not familiar with it, watch a series called Keeping Up Appearances. It's a British comedy series, and it's all about this woman, and she henpecks her husband and everything, and she's a control freak. The woman's only acting, like, but she's portraying one of these characters who I'm going to talk about. Hyacinth Bouquet. Not bucket, bouquet. You know. Well, any Americans are curious about that, check out the series. It'll probably make you laugh as well, like. Keeping Up Appearances, you know, when a woman gets hold of you and she wants you to do everything her way. But anyway, picture the scene. I leave one girlfriend, long-term relationship. She's a pain in the ass, can't stand her now, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to, you know, I wouldn't want to speak to her anymore, you know what I mean? But I get a new girlfriend and start my relationship, and immediately my old girlfriend starts making it awkward and creating this friction for the new girlfriend, you see. So there was always this mistrust in the air, this air of mistrust that, oh, you're going to see your old girlfriend while my back's turned. Do you know what I'm saying, guys? I was like, and I don't do that kind of stuff, folks. I've never been unfaithful in my life within the confines of a relationship, right? But anyway, the new girlfriend has got this, you know, you're not talking to her, are you, attitude, or you didn't see her yesterday, did you? You know, this, you know what I mean? This pressure is one of the reasons I had a breakdown, guys, was one of the contributory factors. But that's not what this is about. But anyway, the new girlfriend, right, who I spent a long time with her, I won't mention names or nothing like that, and say she watches this, I don't know, I haven't got a clue, I don't speak to her anymore, I don't know her, I don't even know where she lives, right? But imagine she watches this, so I don't offend anyone, I don't mention names. But the point I'm making, You've got to take it as fact, right? That it is, I'm proving things. Well, I'll try and speed this up, right? So I'll get this out the way. But picture the scene, new girlfriend, everything's happy, we're falling in love and all the rest of it. But if I so much as mention the ex-girlfriend, I get a slap. You know what I mean? That was the template of my. You know, I just didn't want to. I was trying not to mention things from the past, you know, because she'd go mad at me, like. So she already had this mistrust that, like, oh, so would you go with your ex-girlfriend behind my back, kind of thing. It was there whether we like it or not, right? But anyway, picture the scene. Move on. I've been with this new girlfriend for over a year by now, or something like that. No, not maybe 6 months or something, right? And I get a job, right? But what was I going to say? There's another crucial point. Oh, come on. Well, I'll think about it after. Oh, I start meeting this girl, right? When I first met the new girlfriend, her stepfather, not a real father, a stepfather, right? I won't mention his name. If he sees this, remember, they all see, and I might see this, right? In the context of Freemasonry, because I'm talking about the guy, right? I'm sure he won't mind me talking about him as long as I don't mention names and all that, right? This isn't a dig at him. This isn't a personal dig. This isn't a personal attack, right? But her stepfather, who was married to her mother, her real mother, right, was a Freemason, right? Not only was he a Freemason, right, folks, he was a master of ceremonies. So he was a experienced Freemason. He was quite old when this was back in 1991, 1990 when I met her. No, I met her in 1989, right? I don't know how old he is now. He must be, but he was older than me. I think he was in his 50s back in 1989, right? But she didn't get on with him. She lived in a house with her mum, who, you know, she was a bit too close to her for my liking, you know, hyacinth bouquet, right? But her mother was a female Freemason. She was a member of the Ladies Guild, or whatever you want to call it. It's a form of women Freemasonry, you know what I mean, right? So picture the scene. There's me, I'm like a punk rocker kind of free-speaking artist, kind of musician dude, trying to change the world. And the girl I'm seeing, her stepfather's a Freemason, and her mother's a Freemason, right? So I felt, years later, I didn't see it when we first met, but years later I felt like a mission was being done on me. I was being spied on, or set up, or stitched up, right? That's irrelevant. That's not the point of this speech, right? That's another subject matter I can go into later on. But no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't live up to this level that, like, you know, what Freemasons are used to. They were snobs. They lived in a posh town. They didn't come from where I came from. They weren't as working class and as brash as I was, right? And the girl I'm talking about was posh. She actually spoke posh, you know. If I swore in front of her, she'd give me a slap. You know, it was that kind of atmosphere. If I saw one of my mates and I swore, she'd whack me in the belly, you know, like this, like slap on me belly and go, "Bruce, don't talk like that." You know, she started getting like that with me, you know what I mean? And I swear when I'm talking, I can't help it. It's the way I am. You know, I come from a common background. We swear, you know, Scousers and Baconians alike, right? But anyway, picture the scene. In the background is this old guy. He's like 50 something. He's a master of ceremony. She did tell me this, you know. That wasn't a secret. That wasn't a secret, right, folks? That he was a Freemason and he was a master of ceremonies. And her mum was obviously the same way inclined, because they were like, you know, horses for courses, you know. You know what I mean? You know the way it is. She was posh as well. She didn't like me. She never liked me. She was always telling her daughter, so you could get better. You could get a lawyer or a doctor or a solicitor, you know, a husband with money, an architect or something. I always felt like an odd bod anyway, you know what I mean? But the point is, I got a job in a college, right? I got a job in a college in Liverpool where I was teaching people how to use typewriters and computers. I was an instructor in a college, right? I used to work hard. I did my job properly. I did it to my best of ability. And it was quite exhaustive, you know, sitting in a room where you just hear typewriters going on all day and students. You know, I used to have like 30 odd students in front of me asking me, Bruce, will you fix me typewriter? Bruce, me tape isn't working properly. Bruce, will you mark me exam? You know, it was constant demand, right? You can imagine the environment. I've got pictures. I've got a picture somewhere actually of the college I can show people on camera at some point to give you an idea that it was packed with people, right? But anyway, it was a busy job. I worked hard. I was there as a student for a year, right, folks, learning how to type. And then they kept me on. They put me on a placement, and then they kept me on as a member of staff because I was such a good student. So they gave me a full-time job. It was my first full-time job. But the wages were crap. And the work was really demanding, right? And I used to have to work 5 days a week, right? Didn't do weekends. And 1 day a week, I'd have to stay there late night. Where, you know the way some people, they want to stay on and carry on working because they're revising for an exam. So that, like, sometimes I'd be there from 9 o'clock in the morning, right, folks? On 1 day a week, this would just be what I'd be, no, normally be 9 to 4:30. Or 9 to 5, right? Or Monday to Friday. One of those days, it could have been any day of the week. It could have been 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. Now just think about that, right, folks, before I go any further. I'd turn up at 9 o'clock. You know, sometimes when you work late on a job, you start late. They weren't like that in this college. If it was my turn to do the late night and look after the students, and there'd only be a few people when it was a late night, it wouldn't be packed. There'd be like 5 people on the computers or something, but I couldn't go home until it was 8 o'clock, right? And I used to have to lock the place up, switch off all the machines, and actually turn the alarm on. I'd actually turn the alarm on, but before I left the building, you know, and post the key through the door, right? So think about that job, man. That day's work, 9 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening, right? I'd have breaks, you know, I'd be allowed to have breaks, lunch break or whatever, and a tea break or whatever. But it was a long, tedious day, right? Now, here's the point I'm making. I hope I'm not boring everyone out there who's watching this. I hope it's not going a bit too much, like, but I'm trying to, it does have a common denominator. There is an interesting principle about this, you know, about the all seeing eye, obviously. But anyway, I'd do this work, and my routine was, when it came to Friday, I used to see this girl, right? Usually I'd go home at 5 o'clock, have my tea, and either she came to mine, or I went to see her where she lived. And the routine was, if she came to mine, I used to always have to take her back on the last train. You know, she'd come to mine, we'd have a drink or whatever together, like. And then I'd take her home on the train. And then Saturday, she'd come to mine, or I'd go to hers, take her home on the train. And Sunday, take her home on the train. And then Monday, I was back to work, and she'd be back to college. So we really only had contact with each other on the weekends. It would be like Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, then back to work, right, folks? But this was like, it went on for 3 years, the relationship. It lasted 3 years, right? We never actually spent weeks together or months together, apart from a couple of occasions when we looked after someone's flat or, you know, because I lived with my parents, she lived with her mother and her stepfather, right? Okay. I haven't given any names away, have I, folks? I haven't done nothing, you know, vindictive or anything. But picture the scene. It got to the point, every Friday, I couldn't wait to see her, right? And she couldn't wait to see me. That was the way we were, you know, right? We were sort of romantic and that, right? Bearing in mind, the ex-girlfriend is always in their mind, right? Even though I had nothing to do with her, right? You know, I actually stopped seeing her, even though I thought I had a child to my ex-girlfriend and all that business. I even stopped seeing the kid, you know what I mean? To make this woman feel happy that I wasn't up to nothing, right? You know, it was a bit of that's why I had a breakdown. It was all kinds of factors, right? But anyway, it comes to the end of the week, and I'm told to do a late night on Friday, right, folks? Now, even if I did a late night on a Friday, I'd still manage to go and see my girlfriend, or she'd come to see me, right? But this particular day, I'm working all day, 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock, right? I got home from the college, from Liverpool, back to mine, and this particular night, I was meant to go to see her where she lived, which was quite far. It was 10 miles away, folks. She lived 10 miles away from me. It was one of them Fridays where she wasn't coming to mine. I had to go to see her, right? I get home, and back then, I know it sounds crazy, this was about 1991, 92. I was still working in the college anyway. I finished the job, I finished working there in 91. I cracked up, I didn't leave there or get sacked. I'd stopped going there because I went mad, I had a breakdown, right? But anyway, I'm still in the college working, and I do my full day's work from 9 o'clock to 8 o'clock, right? And there was no mobile phones then, right, folks? There was no cell phones, yeah? My mum and dad, where I lived, they did not have a telephone, right, folks? So picture that one in your heads, you know, I mean, we didn't even have a phone, right? My girlfriend, where she lived, she had a telephone. So if I needed to contact her, I'd go to the phone box, right? I get back from work, 8 o'clock. I remember I finished at 8 o'clock. So what time was I going to be home? She expected me to go and see her 10 miles away. I'd have to get a train 10 miles. So I had this routine of getting in, having me tea, or, you know, I usually had a munch in college, but where I was working, but I'd have a little munch, change my clothes, jump on the train, go and see her normally if I felt okay, and think about what time I would have got there. I mean, she used to stay at mine sometimes, occasionally, like, you know, but it wasn't really allowed, if you know what I mean. I can't believe what I've been, what world I'm in, like. But anyway, Friday night, I get back from college, and I was knackered, right, folks? I was knackered. I just wanted to go to bed, right? I hadn't even changed my clothes, you know, my uniform for work. You know, I had to wear a white shirt and smart pants and stuff because I was a teen. I get in, right, and I realised I'm just too tired. I can't see her tonight. As much as I would have liked to, you know what I mean? As much as I wanted to, you know what I mean, right? And then and I'm sorry for boring you with this, folks, but there is a crux. You know, it's stumping Freemasons, basically. But the point is, right, I was so tired, I thought, I can't go and see her tonight. There's no way I can go all the way to West Kirby just for an hour or something and then have to come back on the last train. Because I couldn't stay at hers. You know, I wasn't allowed to stay at hers when a stepfather and it was their house, you know what I mean? This master of ceremonies of Freemasonry, he owned the house, like. Or she owned the house, her mum, like, but it didn't matter. But anyway, I realised I'm too tired, I'm staying in, I've got to go to bed, right? So I went to the phone box, which was like 200 yards away from where I lived, right? I picked up the phone, I dialed their number in a phone box, and it started ringing, and she was supposed to be in because she was waiting to see me. Obviously, I knew she was in, you know, and I knew her folks were going to be in, you know, her stepdad and her mum were going to be in. So I phoned the house, and, you know, I dialed their number, and I stood there, right, with the phone in me, and it rang. It was like, you know, doing the noise, but there was no answer, right? I stood there, tried again, no answer. And all I was going to say to her was, look, I can't make it tonight, I'm tired, alright, I'll see you tomorrow. That was it, like, that's all I was going to say. But anyway, she didn't answer, the phone wasn't answered, so I was thinking, hang on, that's a bit strange, there's always someone in, they should be in, like. So I went back to my flat, my house, Had a few minutes. Then I went back to the phone box. Tried again. No answer. Went back to my house, sat down for a few minutes. Obviously it was getting late by now, folks. It was like 9 o'clock or something, I don't know, 10 o'clock even, 9:30 or something. And I went one more time, I went to the phone box 3 times, right, folks. Think about it, it's not like picking a phone up in your living room. You know, having to walk to the phone box was a bit of a pain in itself. Still hadn't changed my clothes, right. Then, one last time on the telephone, and no answer. So I went back to mine, right, and I remember going up to my bedroom and lying down on me. I had like a sofa bed that I had to unfold. I only had a tiny bedroom, right, folks. And I had this like 2-seater, it looked like a settee that you unfold and it becomes a sofa. And I remember sitting on the sofa sideways on, you know when you sit on a chair sideways with your legs on the arms or whatever, like it wasn't unfolded, it was still a 2-seater. I remember just sitting on the sofa thinking, wow, I wonder why they aren't answering the phone, or why they, you know, because I wanted to just tell her I couldn't make it that night, like, right? And I was that tired, I just fell asleep. Complete like Rip Van Winkle, you know what I mean? I just went boom, out like a light, fully clothed on my sofa, right. Next thing I know, I blacked out, I was asleep, and then I woke up and it was like daylight and the birds were singing, you know, like first thing in the morning, right. But I didn't wake up, you know, I was like obviously tired, so I didn't like jump out of bed or whatever. I just thought to myself, and I was thinking nothing of it, that my girlfriend, you know, she, you know, because there was no answer, there was nothing I could do, I couldn't say nothing, could I? She couldn't ring me because I didn't have a phone, right? So, I'm lying there, just still asleep, basically, and then my door knocks, you know, my front door, knock on the door, first thing in the morning, right, folks, it's Saturday morning, yeah? I've just been working all week, I've done a whole week's work of 9 to 5, and one day of 9 till 8 o'clock in the evening. And then there's a knock on my door, right, I had to jump up off the sofa bed that I was lying on sideways, didn't even get into bed, I was that tired, right. Ran down the stairs to see who's knocking on the door, and it was her mother, standing there with her stepfather, you know, the pair of them. They had a car, right, folks. They never ever gave me a lift or none of that stuff. I had to get the train or a bus. They never ever offered me a lift or gave me any help unless it suited them for some reason, right. Her mother was standing on the doorstep, right. Remember, she's a Freemason, and her husband, the master of ceremonies of this whatever temple it was, they're standing there looking at me like that, right. And their mother says to me, where were you? And I'm not exaggerating, right, guys. If I was, you know, I don't exaggerate things just for the hell of it, right? She goes, where were you last night? Where were you? Why didn't you show up? And then she goes to me, were you with her? You know, she was talking about my ex-girlfriend who I hadn't even had any contact with for weeks or months, right? She accuses me of being unfaithful, basically, right? So, I've just woke up, I've just got out of bed, getting the sleep out my eyes, you know what I mean? Go, what are you talking about? Where was I? I was here asleep, I fell asleep, I couldn't, you know, think about it, you can't say everything in 5 seconds, can you? You know, but she's poking me in the chest going, were you with her, were you with her? Like that, and they were talking about my ex-girlfriend, right? And I wanted to punch her, I've got to be honest, right? I'm a guy, I don't hit women and that, like, I'm looking at her and saying, I should just knock you out, you know, you silly old woman, you know what I mean? If you can understand it from my perspective, I'm sure anyone will understand that, like. But she was a nag, you know, she was like a proper nag, and she was posh, and she wasn't like a, you know, like what I was used to. So first thing she does is accuse me, right, of being unfaithful, basically. I was banging my ex-girlfriend, was in her head, like, was seen to be what was in her head, right. And the guy standing next to her, there's the master of ceremonies, all-seeing eye. He's looking at me as if to say, Yeah. He didn't say no, and he was like that, like, you know, like, didn't even say a word, didn't say a dicky bird. He was just standing there looking at us and say, well, tell the woman, what were you doing last night? Come on. You know, like this look on his face of authority, like. And I was like, look, man, I was in bed, asleep, you cheeky. And I said, I tried to ring you. I actually phoned 3 times. I went to the phone box 3 times to tell the ex-girlfriend, well, you know, she was, at the time, she was my girlfriend. I tried to tell your daughter that I couldn't make it, but there was no answer, right? And what does a mother say? She says, we would have heard, no one rang us last night. We were all in. She, you know, the daughter was in, the stepdad was, all 3 of them were in the house, basically, right? And she goes, no, you didn't. You didn't try to ring. Because there was no answer. The phone didn't ring, right? So where's me thinking, well, I was ringing when I was at the phone to my ear like that, it was going, right? And I was like, oh man, what's going on here? Is this like a conspiracy? You're trying to set me up or accuse me of being unfaithful so she can ditch me or something like that? I don't know. Or, you know, she got bored of me or something. All kinds of things racing through my head, right? Because I was really into it. I was actually, you know, I actually thought we were going to get married and all that kind of stuff, right? You can understand, looking at her mother talking at me like that, you can understand why I'm a bachelor, folks, you know, right? But I go, look, I phoned 3 times, not once. I went to the phone box 3 times and there was no answer. I'm telling you the truth, right? I was swearing blind. I was like, I didn't go like, you know, cross me heart and hope to die. Or I swear on a holy Bible. You know what I mean? And she goes, and I remember I was still wearing my work clothes. I fell asleep with my white shirt on and my smart pants, right? So she goes, right then, get ready. We'll take you with us and we'll find out, won't we? Right? So I had to run back into my bedroom, hurriedly put a pair of jeans on and a sweatshirt and my trainees, you know, my usual gear, like. And then jump in a car with them, like, because they were going to prove to me that I didn't ring, right? So what did they do first? Did we get in a car? Right, we get in a car and she drives to the phone box. Right, now, picture the scene, right, folks. I mean, well, I'll say that after. He drives us all to the phone box. I'm sitting in the back seat of this car feeling like I'm being interrogated. You know, like I've just been like, I'm hiding something, I've done something wrong. Right, so she takes us to the phone box, right, guys? And ladies, so, you know, when I say guys, I mean everyone, folks. She drags me to the phone box in the car, and her husband, the master of ceremonies, Freemason dude, he goes to the phone box and stands. We're sitting in the car looking out the window. You might picture the scene. The mother-in-law, well, she would have been my mother-in-law. Thank God she isn't, like, you know, that's all I can say. God moves in mysterious ways, folks, you know. Thank God that woman didn't become my mother-in-law. No disrespect to the girlfriend, but I didn't want her as my mum after this incident, do you know what I mean? But I was sitting there like that, in the back of a car. The woman's still sitting in front of me, the old nag, like. And he's standing in the phone box looking through the glass window at us like that. And he gets the phone like that, right? He dials their home number. And he's looking at us through the window like that, like, you know, with the phone at his ear like that. The daughter's in the house, remember, she's still there. So what he's intending to do is telephone, she picks the phone up, says hello, and then he goes like, wow, Bruce is telling lies. Do you understand, right? So he's like that with the phone in his hand, and I'm like thinking, you know, let's see what happens then, eh? I'm curious to see what happens myself, to be honest. Like, I'm sitting there like that in the car. I remember I've just been jumped out of bed. I hadn't even had a chance to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or breakfast or nothing. Dragged out to me bedroom within like seconds, right? First thing in the morning after a week's work, right? He's got the phone in his ear like that, and he looks back towards us and he goes, you know, sort of gesture he actually did. He points to the phone and goes, as if to say, he's telling the truth, there's no answer. Right. So, I'm like thinking, is the phone bugged? Am I on a different planet? What is going on here, folks? You know? So he tries again, he puts the phone down and he goes, and he's standing there like that, all-seeing eye, master of ceremonies, like. He's like that, like, testing the phone, you know. He's like that. And he goes, then he puts the phone down and she's sitting there. Remember, I'm listening to the old nag is sitting in front of me in the front seat and she's going, oh, it looks like you're telling the truth. And I was like sitting there and I'm going, you know them scenes in The Godfather where they put a rope around someone's neck and they're in the front seat and they go, I was like ready to do that to this old woman, you know what I mean? I was thinking, I could strangle you for this, you know what I mean? Just for that alone, like. So he jumps in the car and sits down and he says to her in front of me, he actually broke the silence and he spoke like, he opened his mouth like, he goes, there's no answer. It's still ringing, it's making a sound, Bruce is telling the truth. He's telling the truth, there's no answer, right? And I'm sitting there like that, I'm like going, oh, you bastards. Pardon me French, I know to... you beep, 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 you start swearing like. I'm sitting knackered, I'm like that, like thinking, you just got me out of bed for this, like, you know what I mean? Then what did he do? He started the engine, he goes, okay, we'll go and see her then. So we go, he drives me 10 miles across the Wirral, all the way to see her, right? And you know what was mad? I wasn't even allowed to speak to her straight away. They wouldn't even let me walk in the living room to talk to her, because she was like hypochondriacs pretend there's something wrong with them, like, or you ever seen potheads when there's a drought on and they're like, oh, I can't take it anymore. Well, she was putting on this act because she thought I'd been unfaithful, if you know what I'm saying. You can picture the scene. She was like, how dare he do this to me? He's been sick. She must have been making the drama out of it, thinking I was, having sex with my ex-girlfriend, you know what I mean? I was asleep on me, beep, beep. I was asleep on me, beep, beep, bed, for crying out loud, right? And he goes up, we get back to their house 10 miles away, and I'm sitting in the kitchen like a naughty schoolboy, right? Like a naughty schoolboy, still not allowed to talk to the girl herself. She's in the living room with a pillow in an armchair and a blanket and everything, as if she's been like, as if she's like dying of some kind of chronic illness, like, because I've been unfaithful, right? So the guy that owns the house, the master of ceremonies dude, the Freemason, he goes up to the telephone, right, and he goes, it's off the hook. You know what I mean? And I'm like that, like thinking, that's it, I don't want to get married, I don't want to, that's when I decided I wanted to be a bachelor, guys, do you understand? That's when I realised I'm not interested, unless a woman's rich. Why do you think I don't dress up and try and look handsome and even as a musician, even as a guitarist, why do you think I don't try and sell myself, guys? Why do you think I don't tart myself up and try and like attract female viewers and all that kind of stuff? I don't want anyone, and I'm not gay, obviously, you know what I mean? But after this episode, it put me off everything, you know what I mean? So he goes, the phone was off the hook. You know when it's slightly on the hook and off the hook? And so that's what makes it ring. Normally it'd go beep, 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 wouldn't it, if it's just completely off the hook? But have you ever tried phoning someone, guys, and then they tell you, I left the phone slightly off, so it sounds like it's ringing, but it wasn't? And have a guess who the last person to use the phone was, right, who left it off the hook? Not on purpose, obviously, but my girlfriend, she had been on the phone talking to one of her friends, right, in the evening while I was in work. And she'd put the phone down, not properly, and it just so happened no one moved the phone all that time that it took me. The whole night. Now picture the scene, right, guys, picture this. Imagine they knocked on my door and they dragged me to the phone box and someone had put the phone down properly and the guy rings and she answers, what would I have done? What would I have done to testify, to defend myself that I'm telling the truth? I'd have been immediately ridiculed, wouldn't I, as being a liar. You're hiding something. You was with your ex-girlfriend, wasn't you? If anyone else in the house had moved that phone, and when they rang, she actually answered it, I'd have been like declared some kind of, I don't know what the beep they'd have called me or whatever, like. But I know I wouldn't have stood a chance, would I? If they were bad enough to come and knock on my door the way they were, right? So I just, oh man, I hate to think of what I would have gone through there. But it just so happened, praise God, he moves, you know, no one disturbed that phone, right? By the way, my ex didn't believe in God. She went mad at me when I started telling her that there was a God. You can understand why I started saying things like that, can't you? When you think of these circumstances, right? One of the reasons we split up is because I thought, wow, she doesn't even believe me when I'm talking about God, does she? You know what I mean? But if the phone had been moved and someone else had used it and put it down, I'd have been, you know, screwed, wouldn't I? I'd have been accused of all kinds of things, right? So what happened was, even after they realised that the phone was off the hook, I still couldn't go in and talk to the girlfriend, like, because her mum was giving me this lecture. She gave me a lecture going, you don't know, you don't know her like I know her. You know, like in me face, like give me. Remember, I hadn't even done anything wrong, folks, throughout the whole episode. I hadn't even done a thing wrong. I'm sitting there, and then eventually she said, okay, you can go in and see her now. And I walked in, and I actually said some things to her. And she was sitting in a chair with a blanket around her and a cushion behind her, you know, as if she was ill. And then I was like, what's all this about, you know what I mean? And even though she'd been told the phone was off the hook and everything, she still had a little bit of doubt in me, like, that I'd been, you know, that was trying to keep a secret, right? And I flipped out, I nearly walked out. I was about to walk out. I went, oh fuck, well, I'm trying not to swear in case any, you know, people who watch my channel who are Bible people, if you know what I mean. No lewd language. I actually flipped out and went, sod this, I'm getting off. And I was about to walk out and make my way home, you know, get the train back home, like. And her mum stopped me. She stood in the way of the door going, don't, because they knew I was telling the truth, remember, by this stage, right? So the girl who was pretending to be, like, ill because of being, you know, unfaithful or whatever in her brain, like, she jumps out the chairs if nothing's wrong with her and goes, oh, do you want a cup of coffee then? I'm like, oh yeah, well, mind a nice cup of coffee. Now I've just been dragged out of my bed and I didn't even have a chance to have a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Right, so there's the whole story, and then we eventually talked and we carried on with our relationship and everything. But in the back of my mind, there was always that voice in my head saying, but they didn't believe you, Bruce, you know what I mean? They didn't even believe you when you were telling the truth, you know. And my point is, though, here's the crux, here's the, you know, the crux, like, where was the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry throughout the entire episode? Why didn't the guy say, look, stop having a go at him, old nag? He was in his bed asleep, or he was in work late and he was tired and he couldn't make it. It's as simple as that, because if this all-seeing eye, right, folks, this ASE if it was all-seeing, I wouldn't have had to prove myself, would I? If it was all-seeing, a master of ceremonies who, you know, must know like 100 Freemasons, right? He wouldn't have tested the phone, would he? Do you understand? He picked the phone up and tested it to see if I was telling the truth. I was looking at them thinking, oh man, this is it, like, you know what I mean? I'm never going to get like a long-term girlfriend ever again if this is what I'm going to have to put up with every time I get, like, you know, like, someone's suspicious against me, like. I was in bed asleep and I'm being accused of having an affair or, you know, having a shag, basically, with an ex-girlfriend, like. But do you see me point, guys? If the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry was all-seeing, if their God was real, if it wasn't Lucifer or whatever it is that they look up to, the torch of Lucifer, the cigarette, the spliff, the rollie, the joint, the flame, the torch. If that was a real all-seeing eye, I wouldn't have had to go through all that, would I? It was like the Spanish Inquisition, you know, when you know you're telling the truth. Or Joan of Arc or something, you know, when Joan of Arc was trying to tell the truth, but they still burnt her at the stake anyway. You know, so it's a long drawn out speech, that way, folks. But I've been dying to get it out to tell you. It's like, you know, one of the reasons I'm a bachelor, one of the reasons I don't try and look like a superstar or a stud on video or whatever, to, you know, try and attract attention. Because after that, it's enough to put any man off. The girlfriend and the mother-in-law, you know, because she'd have been my mother-in-law now if it went according to plan. God forbid, you know. I liked her, I liked the girl, I had nothing against her, if you know what I mean. We got on like a house on fire, we were perfect and all that, like, but I always felt at the back of my mind that I felt like, you know, the film Legend, you know, the unicorn, and the girl knows the devil, and the devil uses the girl to snare the unicorn and steal his secrets and all that. Like, that's how I felt throughout the whole of the relationship, really, to be honest, at the end of it, like, you know, because if they don't even believe you when you're telling the truth, what chance do you stand? If you know, I could actually hold the Bible now and say, I know I was in bed that night, I wasn't doing anything wrong, you know, I wasn't even masturbating either, you know what I mean, I was just, I'm sorry to say that, guys, I was just on my own, crying out loud in bed asleep, you know, after a whole week's work, right? So you can imagine why I had a nervous breakdown. You can understand why I'm a bachelor. I don't really give a monkey's ass about relationships and families and, oh man, I've never wanted children and all that, like, you know what I mean? Because of like me other episode with a woman who claims to be the father, the mother of my child, like, there's a lot of crap in my past, guys, that I don't really, you know, it's not a big deal to me. Obviously now I'm just like a boring old fart, I don't care, but I've seen enough to let me know that, like, you know, people aren't on the level at times, right? And one thing I know for sure is the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry is not all-seeing. Otherwise, that guy would have spoke up for me, wouldn't he? He'd have had either known, wouldn't he? He'd have known, he'd have gone like, I'm getting a message from our God here, and he's saying, Bruce, you tell the truth, so leave him alone. But now, when I seen him standing there doing that with the phone, going, I was looking out the window going, what a tit. In my head I was thinking, what a tit. You know what I mean? He's even texting the phone. You know. So, that's that speech over with. How long is it? I mean, we're going into the millennia. Oh no, I wasn't recording. Nah, what am I on here? Well, no, it's long enough, isn't it, folks? I don't know if it's boring. I don't know if you think it's interesting, you know, because like I say, I've had these first-hand. When the relationship ended, right, guys, I got targeted by Freemasonry. They tried to kill me or send me mad or ruinate my mind. I got blackballed everywhere I went. I couldn't get a job. Trust me, all those, you know, the film Enemy of the State with Will Smith. I went through all that kind of motion, like, with, you know, it took me ages to try and just get a job. Didn't get any success with my music. My bands failed. Everything failed. You know, Freemasonry runs the music business as well. Industry, the tree of dust, the tree of cocaine. You know, industry, the music industry, the tree of dust. You know, didn't have any success in that world. And I didn't want it really, because I wasn't going to sell my soul, was I? You get me, like. But there you go. That's the end of the speech. I hope it's interesting. I hope it fuels you to carry on watching my channel, and look forward to some more incredible revelations. I don't know what you call it, like. I can shut my mouth now and calm down and get ready to go and get some shopping. So if you're watching out there, there's no defamation of character. I'm not actually, you know, dragging out Freemasonry and whatever, but you know it's a way. If you know the all-seeing eye doesn't see everything, you know that's a joke, don't you? You should know by now. Oh, they can make movies, they can watch women in the showers, they can watch whatever they watch, you know, seedy stuff. They like seeing people having sex and things like that, you know. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest, like, but it's not all-seeing, folks. Only the all-seeing eye of God is all-seeing and all-knowing. Only the all-seeing eye of God is all-seeing and all-knowing. And that's got nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Freemasonic lodges. So, end of speech. Thanks for watching if you've sat through the whole thing. I'd love to hear your comments or your views or your thoughts. Not necessary, obviously, like, but I've made my statements. If the girl ever watches this, the woman in question, I hope she has a bit of a conscience and thinks, "Whoa, poor man," and he was just asleep all that time. He was just knackered after a whole week's work, you know, from 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night, tired, knackered, done in, bagging up. Thanks for watching anyway, folks. I hope it's interesting. More speeches coming up. What was the ones in particular? I've got I've got a speech coming up about fallen angels, alien greys, you know what you would call greys, the demons, and I can talk about them and tell you a lot of things about them that a lot of people haven't got. You know, there's so many videos on YouTube about that subject, and there's me sitting there like with no frills, no fancy graphics, no fancy, you know, no bombastic music soundtrack or anything. You just ask me. Anyone asks questions on my channel, guys, ask questions in the comments about any subject, right? Anything. If there's something you think, I would love to know this or that, and maybe Bruce might know, you know. Ask, you know, don't be afraid to ask a question about anything, and it'll give me a bit of an incentive to speak, you know, but because I don't know what you guys want to watch or listen to, you know what I mean? I don't want to force feed anyone, but I'm sure I know a lot more than most people about those subject matters. Area 51, aliens, you name it, mate, I know it. I don't profess to know these things. I don't claim to know these things. I actually know. But yeah, thanks for watching. It's a long one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it, you know, amplifies some home truths. I don't know. And I don't screw around in relationships, folks, or I'm not unfaithful, or I don't do anything like that. Might watch the old blue movie, like. Anyway, thanks for watching. Tatty bye.